We are here with NAtalie Nourigat, the creator of Between Gears. Thank you so much for meeting with us.
Thanks for having me.
So Between Gears is a autobiographical comic, kind of like a diary of your senior year in college, yes?
Yes, it is.
What was it like sort of capturing this experience and then putting it out for the world to see?
Interesting. I've read autobio before, so I'm used to the idea of looking into other people's lives, but displaying my own was strange at times, especially personal issues like an argument with a family member or relationships. But overall, it's been very positive, and people have responded really well to seeing a side of an artist that they don't normally.
You sort of are seen with a lot of other comic people. Emmy Lennox, another autobio person. What kind of influence has that been with you, working sort of in this community of creators, starting really early in your career?
It's excellent. I was born in Portland. I had no idea that it was such a comic town until I was 19, and I kind of stumbled into the scene. But since then, I've been able to make friends with all of these incredibly talented writers and artists and publishers and retailers, and it can only help. It's really, really awesome to have contact with those people and learn from them.
Are people contacting you now that you have your book out and sort of I was a struggling cartoonist and here's my story?
A lot of people have sent me links to their autobio comics, which I love. Like, I love that they would reach out to me because A, I want to read that, and B, I hope to inspire that, because if I can do it, anybody can.
Had that weird experience where people start commenting on your life?
Yes. It started as a webcomic before it was a book, so I've got comments on several of those pages, and it's interesting because, yeah, it's not fiction. It's like, I did that.
So now Between Gears wrapped up in 2010, correct? I mean, the experience of Between Gears wrapped up in 2010.
Yeah.
Is there a plan for Between Gears 2 or something like that?
There's volume 1 printed on the spine of the book, and I think that that's just to cover our bases in case there is a second volume. I don't have any plans to, but I think it would be really interesting to do it again in a similar fashion when I'm quite a bit older, maybe when I'm established or when I'm starting a family or something, and just, document these different parts of my life that are very different from each other.
So there were, as you're going through Between Gears, there's references to projects that, are either hopefully going to happen, or I think you had just signed a deal for a book. What's become of some of those projects?
So it's been just about 2 years since the chronological end of Between Gears, and I do talk about 2 projects in there. I talk about a book that I'm doing with Learner, and since then I have completed that book, and it's in-house and getting lettered and stuff right now. Should come out in late 2012. And I talk about Over the Surface, which I've since pitched to Oni Press and will be redrawing and doing my best work on this next year or two. I've also completed a graphic novel with Jamie S. Rich for Oni Press, and that's been super, super fun. Really, really stoked about that.
What can you? Let's break those up for a minute. What can you tell us about the project with Jamie Rich?
It's a romance with a twist. This is one of the main characters, and I don't know what I'm allowed to tell you. Jeez.
Well, really, we could take Jamie in a fight, so just go ahead, spill whatever.
I got to design some really cool futuristic stuff. It's set in the future, and I used a new coloring technique that I've never used in a book before on it.
Okay, and then the book from Learner?
It's also a romance with a twist, and it was written by Dan Jolie, who was really excellent. His script was a lot of fun to work on. There's some magic and stuff, which I really enjoy drawing.
And then the other one, I'm going to grab a copy really quick. This is Over the Surface, which is sort of the mini comic that you were working on in this. And tell us a little bit about this, because I've actually been reading this one as it came out. It's kind of a neat idea.
Cool, thanks. So it's not based in our world. It's a fantasy world, but I took a lot of inspiration from pre-World War II France and the resistance movement there. It's about a girl growing up in a small town, and all of these changes are happening around her. Her country's getting ready to go to war, and all of these new machines are being invented, and she's kind of a nerd for machines and war culture, so she sneaks onto an army base and steals a plane.
Let's say, yeah, and in the first book, she's sneaking into a library to find books about this.
Not a rule follower at all.
So you say you're going to be doing some new work on this. What do you? I mean, you're redrawing it completely from scratch, or?
I've rewritten it. Now that I'm working with an editor, it's been really helpful to get her feedback and make the plot a lot stronger. I'm also looking into doing it as a color book. I'm not sure whether or not that's gonna be the case, but I've even done some test pages with watercolor, which would be very different. So I'm just going to try and do my absolute best work on it.
Fantastic. There's one more project that many people don't necessarily know about, that you actually worked on a series of books with your father, you said.
Yes, yeah. My dad is really passionate about improving the lives of many, many people. He works in finance, and he sees a lot of people who don't have the tools that they need to succeed financially. There just isn't a lot of elementary education or even instruction for parents how to teach their kids about finances these days. And he's kind of an expert on the subject, so he's narrowed everything down into these very easy to read and understand children's books, 5 of them about different topics in finance, and I got to illustrate those, so it was really fun working with my dad on something.
Fantastic work. I mean, are these published and out in the world?
Yeah, he published them through CreateSpace, so they're available on Amazon. The title is The Marvels of Money for Kids. And yeah, there are 5 books in that series.
Cool. All right, well, let's wrap this up the way we normally do by asking you, what's your issue? What's that comic you read that was so crazy or wild or out there that when you're talking comics with your friends, this is what you talk about?
I guess I'd have to say Mysterious the Unfathomable was the last comic that really blew my mind. That's one that I know I can lend to 99.9% of my friends, non-comic readers, and they're going to love it. It's unlike anything else. The art is gorgeous. Jeff Parker makes it so much fun. It all makes sense, and the characters are really well developed. You could just gush all day, but it's incredible.
Fantastic. We'll have to check it out. Well, thank you very much, and all the continued success to you.
Thanks for having me on the show.